If you have ever seen that meme where Hakim, it says, M1 Grand Thumb, and then it says, Hakim, hold my beer. Sorry, it's not a stereotype, but it is a real problem with these things. Super finicky rifles. Anyways, guys, please check out Ventura Munitions and Top Gun Supply for helping out the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Hakim rifle in Egyptian military service. Going to be shooting it, looking at some of its, horrible design features in terms of this exact portion of the rifle itself. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the episode, and please check out Machine Gun Dad while you can. Great guy, great resource. Has got a lot of original content on his webpage, on his YouTube channel as well, with old machine guns and explaining various intricate things as well. Everyone makes the assumption that Egypt went from the FN-49 to the Hakim rifle. The gap there is that Egypt never made enough Hakims to outfit the entire army. I think and then going on to Rasheed's as well, Egypt, a better correction is in saying that Egypt went from the FN-49 to a milled AK-47 because Soviet support to Egypt started really amping up in 1958 or so, and where Egypt also started production of 7.62 by 3.9 rounds in the late 1950s as well. So, and then going on into later, when we come to the Six-Day War, which we're talking about, when we're going to have an upcoming series about, people talk about, what did Egypt have during the Six-Day War in 67 in the Sinai? And people say, well, okay, they probably had leftover FN-49s, Hakims, and Rasheeds. The misconception is that I don't think there were enough Hakim and Rasheeds even existing at that time period to arm the entire Egyptian army. In fact, we have very little archival evidence or proof that the Hakim or the Rasheed was even used in Sinai by active Egyptian forces. Where we do see the Hakim and the Rasheed, well, at least the Hakim and definitely the FN-49, where we still see it echo today in the current Middle East, is in Yemen. When Egypt was fighting a multi-year-long war in Yemen, in northern Yemen, you see a lot of Egyptian surplus aid going to support the Yemeni soldiers that they were working with there. And in fact, the bulk of the Egyptian army was in Yemen at the time of 1967 and not in the Sinai Peninsula. The troops in Sinai were more of a reserve force, rear echelon force that was sent to protect the border, as opposed to the actual combat forces that were doing a lot of the fighting at that time were in Yemen. So the Hakim comes around, and the Hakim is this weird, oddball thing of a design, and everybody, trashes it for having a horrible bolt thumb killer, which it does. Scott, what can you tell us about the Hakim? And you have personal experience with this thing.
I bought this gun. I don't know why I bought this gun. I hate this gun.
You hate this gun.
For two reasons. As designed by the Swedes, I understand it's an excellent shooting gun, but the 6.5 Swede is a lot wimpier than an 8mm Mauser round. So when you shoot this gun, there is a gas adjustment system right here. You have to have a little special tool. If you don't have this dialed down, it feels like it's going to come apart in your face. It's just a very fragile feeling. It doesn't. The FN-49 solid as a rock. This one, it's like shooting a SVT-40 with hot ammo. I mean, you're in the back of your brain. You're like, do I have really good eye protection on? Do I really need this nose?
Yeah.
I obviously don't need this nose, but, and the other thing is what you talked about. This is the absolute worst bolt system. You bring it back, and in order for it to go forward, the magazine has to be out or loaded. All right, here's a perfect example. Getting this magazine out is a pain in the butt. Oh, granted, they are supposed to be loaded with stripper clips, but if I remember correctly, if I put this over to the other side, it'll go forward.
Now it's on safe.
All right, so it shouldn't move.
Correct. Well, yeah.
So you got to go up. All right, here's the part I hate. Now imagine dummy me is going like this, trying to figure out how to load it with stripper clips, and that happened. Right, I lost a big chunk. I had a nice blood blister on the side of my hand. I don't understand how you could expect any soldier, especially a conscript, to learn this system. This is the most non-user friendly system I've ever seen, where you actually push the front forward and pull it back, and if it hits and the gun's in the fire position, it closes right back up again. That's terrible. I mean, you have to, obviously the best thing to do would be put it on safe, and then it'll come back. But
you know what's the tricky thing about that? Okay, let's say, you know, your gun is on safe for here, and now let's say move it over to fire.
It's going to move it away.
Yeah, the bolt doesn't move forward.
All you have to do is go.
Well, it push forward and then there. Yeah.
Because that's how I got bit. It's there.
There we go. And it just goes forward. So it's just...
And it comes forward. And one of the things, you know, everybody knows about M1 Garand's thumb. If you look here, there's no smooth edges. This is all sharp.
No.
It hurts. It hurts quite a bit. I'd like to say I can vouch for its inaccuracy or its accuracy. I can't, because I'm so hesitant about it. I never really wanted to shoot at any length of time. And the other thing I never liked was the magazine catch. I think that's locked.
Yeah.
And then you got to pull it down, you got to push it forward, and see it unlocks. Then you got to wiggle it out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not exactly combat efficient.
It was a magazine only designed to be taken out for cleaning and if the magazine was damaged.
If I was a young Egyptian man anywhere in the Egyptian army and they handed me this, I'd ask for my Lee Enfield back.
Yeah, I'd want the FM-49.
I'd take the 49.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, and then the other thing on here that we usually don't see in the States is the leather piece. There's a leather hook around here that would aid with pressing it back and forth.
And it has the what language is Arabic?
This is Arabic, yeah.
So it has the Arabic numbers on it.
Yeah, so all of these rifles go up to 10 for a kilometer or 100-meter increments on here in that space. And then, so production figures for the Hakim is we see this particular one as production date of 1965 in Arabic. This isn't a Hijra year, this is a Gregorian year called Melody in Arabic. So we see these from the late 1950s all the way up into the mid 1960s. So these were made by Egypt at that time. We got to remember that at this particular time, Egypt was only making, in terms of small arms, they were making small arms ammunition, they were making the Hakims, later on the Rasheeds, and then they were also making the Danshwe or the Helwans, the early Helwans. The Port Saids as well. Yeah, and Ma'adi AK manufacture didn't happen until after 1967 in the Six-Day War. We see most of the Egyptian equipment in the Six-Day War was all Soviet materiel. 1973 rolls around, October, and the Yom Kippur War, or the October War, is all fought with, it appears to be all fought with Egyptian Ma'adi stamp steel production and Egyptian RPDs, Port Saids as well. So hey guys, so a couple of things to round off here that we couldn't get done at Scott's. What I want to show you is a problem that is inherent with the Hakim's operating system, where if you have a round stuck in the, in a failure to extract, or not just a round, anything, debris, whatever that's stuck in here, you cannot clear that round by operating the bolt alone. I mean, I think it's just another example of how much this weapon system just kind of sucks. Going back to where this was used in the Middle East, I'm coming across all these sources in the West that talk about the Hakim was used against the Israelis in 1956 Suez Canal War. And I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing any evidence of a single Egyptian soldier armed with a Hakim or an account talking about using Hakims in 1956. It's just not in the photographs. It's not in the accounts that we're seeing. And then, well, by looking at serial numbers on the internet, online, the lowest numbered Hakims we're seeing are marked in 1956. However, they're marked extremely low, something in the 2,000, 3,000 serial number range, which would make it very unlikely that Hakim even entered mass service in 1956. You know what was used instead of the Hakim, though? SKSs and VZ-52s, in addition to Mausers and Lee Enfields, which Egypt had a huge stock of. But mostly SKSs and VZ-52s is what we're seeing in Port Said's in a lot of the media concerning the Suez Canal crisis. Another thing I want to bring up here, and this is also because we did not have this at Scott's, was there were two training rifle variants made of the Hakim. One was an air gun, which I have in my hands right here. This was made by Anschutz, the big air gun company. And then we have another example of a Hakim training rifle that's in .22 caliber that was made by Beretta. Some interesting pieces to note on the air rifles. You know, it's just a very simple air rifle. It cocks like this. I don't think mine even works, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't even cock. Put your pellet in there and then close it. And then the sights are marked in Arabic, and they are adjustable from 0 to 10 to 20 to 30 meters. What's interesting about the air gun, at least, is on the top of the air gun, you have this skull and bones thing and what looked like some decorative design to the left or right of it. But in the wavy Diwani calligraphy that was popular in Egypt at the time, Al-Haras al-Watani, which means the National Guard. What this is actually referring to is the Egyptian Republican Guard, which today goes by the name of Al-Haras al-Gumhariya, which at the time of the 1950s, the Egyptian Republican Guard was known as the National Guard. And on the back here, we have some writing on the receiver for anybody who was ever interested. It says, Ayare 5.5 millimeter Model 1954, which is essentially caliber 5.5 millimeter, and then Model in Arabic. And then on the right side, we have Anschutz, the German company, and then it says Almania 1955. Almania means Germany in Arabic. And then on the left side of the rifle, it says Bandaqiya al-Hawa al-Masriya al-Tarib, which means Egyptian air gun for training purposes. I wish I could show you the .22 version, but alas, we only have the air gun version at this time. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate the views. We hope to see you next time when we talk about the Rasheed rifle.